Yes, it's Charter California edition. I'm Brad Pomerantz, and we are continuing our roadshow, our trips around the state. Today we are in Victorville, California, in the high desert. We are joined by Ryan MacEachron. He is a council member in beautiful Victorville. I thank you so much for having us. We are actually in a facility in which you are the purveyor, and we thank you for allowing us to use this facility.
Definitely.
I want to speak with you about Victorville, the high desert area generally. I think it's fair to say, sir, that if we had been speaking 3-4 years ago, we would have been a little more depressed with what was happening in the high desert. Talk to us about the bad times, which are behind us.
Yeah, the bad times. The recession hit, as you know, and there were a lot of foreclosures. There were a lot of vacant homes, and we just, we really saw, we were like ground zero here for the foreclosure crisis.
I remember the Los Angeles Times did an extended series about the high desert. I believe they focused on Hesperia, not Victorville, but it's a sister city. It's right next door.
Correct, yeah, it's literally right next door.
Literally. I remember I was driving down the street. One side was Hesperia, one's Victorville. And they were talking about how homes that had been priced at $500,000 were now $125,000. And these communities that were being built were being abandoned. I mean, it was really, really rough.
Yes, it really was rough, and we've still continued to have to deal with that. It's not as much or prevalent as it was in the past, and we're kind of working our way out of that.
Why? Why are things better? And I'm speaking to a third generation, by the way.
Right.
Third generation Victorvillian, is that how you would say it?
Correct.
Okay,
Lived here.
Exactly. So why are things better?
Well, I think, as these homes have been put back on the market by the banks, we're seeing a lot of new first-time home buyers that are buying up these homes. And as a result of that, we're starting to see some more new residential construction. Obviously not where it needs to be or where we'd want it to be, but that's starting to have an effect on the local economy. Obviously more people have disposable incomes, they have jobs again, they're spending money.
Are folks moving to the high desert, these first-time home buyers, or are they folks that are already here?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think we are still starting to see some migration from down in the LA Basin, Orange County area. People still moving up here just because of the affordability. But it is also local folks who are looking to get into their first home and be a first-time home buyer. So it's a little bit of both, I believe.
One of the reasons I understand that this region is bouncing back is thanks to what's known as the SCLA, the Southern California Logistics Airport. Could you give us some background on that airport, which actually plays a role in your family history, if I understand?
Well, correct. Former George Air Force Base actually is what somewhat brought my grandfather here back in the early 60s. He flew P-51s in World War II and had close ties to the Air Force. But it has really turned into an economic engine for the high desert.
But let's talk about what happened. I mean, like you said, former means no longer.
Correct.
So why is it the former George Air Force Base?
A part of the base realignment and closure process. George Air Force Base was shut down in the early 90s. Victorville, as well as the other cities up here, came together to form what was at that time known as the Victorville Economic Development Authority. And over time, that was the operations of the airport was handed over to the city of Victorville, and we operate it to this day. But yes, we lost thousands, tens of thousands of jobs when that airport shut down, not only on the base, but ancillary jobs off the base.
The dry cleaners, the restaurants.
All those people that provided the services to the folks that were working at George Air Force Base.
Yet, 20, 25 years later, the SCLA as we know it is just roaring beyond all compare.
It's booming. We are completely out of space. We need to build more hangars.
How did that happen?
Well, I'll tell you, it's been a part of our process and a part of the business climate here, especially at the airport. One of the things that we've really done is helped encourage job development. So you have Leading Edge, who paints American Airlines airplanes, Southwest Airplanes, United. All the big airlines send their planes here to get painted. As well, Boeing and their 787 Dreamliner, the newest plane that they've been building, they send down here from Washington to have paint jobs done on it, and they go all over the world, Qatar and other places.
What else is housed at this facility? At the logistics airport.
At the logistics airport, we also have Dr. Pepper Snapple, which manufactures all the soft drinks that we drink.
Is it a warehouse for them, or?
Well, they actually bottle their product there and ship it out of there for points all over the United States as well as the Pacific Rim. So A lot goes out of there. Plastic Pack, which is a plastic bottle manufacturer, a big supporting business to Dr. Pepper Snapple is out there. We also have M&M Mars, which distributes their candy out of there, and some other businesses.
And so, what's the job impact? I mean, is it thousands?
We're probably in the range of about 2,000 to 3,000 jobs right now. Plus, we have the Federal Bureau of Prisons right across the street, which provides another 2,000 to 3,000 jobs. So, a lot of jobs generated out near and around the airport.
Tell me though about, you said that you need to add more hangars. That may be coming down the pike, but you're doing stuff in the interim at the SCLA. There's a runway reconstruction. Tell us more about what you're doing.
Yeah, there are 2 runways out there, and the Crosswind runway is not the main one, but that one we had a federal grant through the FAA that we just secured, and that is currently being reconstructed as we speak. But our main runway, which is the second longest runway in the United States, just behind Denver, is in need of much repair, and that will happen over the next 5 years as well. So we're doing a lot of work out there to support all the jobs and all the aerospace industry that's coming into that airport.
At the same time, somehow, some way, you have managed to create some other infrastructure projects in this city. I don't know how you've done it, but there's apparently some money available. I guess it's through Measure I, which is a local measure?
Yeah, that's Measure I is a half-cent sales tax that the voters passed that would basically allow us to fund infrastructure projects both on freeway interchanges as well as local roads. A few years back, we built the La Mesa Nisqually interchange. We've now paid that off, and since we have the money from being able to pay that off, we have the money to get back into doing local road projects. Bear Valley Road, being one of the most traveled roads in the high desert, is in serious need of some reconstruction, so we're starting on the west side. We'll be working our way over onto the east side and reconstructing that road.
I want to ask you about the prison, if I may. It wasn't necessarily what we were going to discuss, but if it's okay with you. You know, prisons, like you said, they're tremendous job creators, yet they can cause some tension in communities. And if you think about the San Bernardino County generally, you know, Adelanto is building or has built a prison. I think Indio is on the verge of doing that as well. Talk to us about that, since you have some experience, meaning the city has experience with that industry.
Well, I think there are perceptions and there are realities, and the perceptions tend to be worse than the actual reality. But there's, without a doubt, the impact the prison has on the local community. The jobs are very well and high-paying jobs, but there are going to be adverse effects of that, and so we try to balance it. We understand that the prison is there; it is a huge employer for our city and for our region, and they're a good neighbor to us. And at the same time, whatever the adverse impacts, we work with local county, law enforcement, and hopefully to minimize whatever the impacts might be.
And I would presume it's a federal prison, so this is kind of the the best of the best.
You can't get any better. If you're going to have a prison, federal prison is the one to have.
Now, I would hope that if you run a red light, you won't go to the federal prison.
That would be correct.
And in Victorville, there has been use of red light cameras, which continue to be controversial. In Sacramento, there is discussion about, I think, banning them completely. Talk to us about your program, sir.
Well, this program went into effect a few years back, even before I was on the council, and many people have complained about it over the years. I don't know of anybody that really likes the red light camera system. And so our contract was coming up for renewal on June 30th, and the council recently took action not to renew that contract.
Which is fascinating
yes.
that happened, because, look, you could argue that it's safer, it's a revenue source, you don't want to make revenue, but so it's surprising, but that you're not alone. Victorville's not alone. Cities are doing this left, right, and center. They're canceling contracts, they're not renewing contracts.
And we found that we really didn't make any revenue off of it. It really wasn't a revenue generator, and what was even more surprising is that you would think it would actually cause people to run the red light less. Hasn't changed a bit. They keep running red lights.
His name is Ryan MacEachron. He is a member of the Victorville City Council. I'm Brad Pomerantz. It's Turner California Edition.